Is it okay now? Is it visible?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Well, dear colleagues, I would like to present you today the main findings of our small study, of our paper, which was made and based on the final paper of undergraduate journalism student, Mrs. Eva Habulan, under my supervision, which was made at Croatian University, Public University North in Koprivnica. Just a few words regarding this title. I suppose that not much of you knows that. Sorry, I, I wanted to go to the next slide. Could you help me, please? It doesn't running. So maybe this one. Okay. So last year in 2020, Croatia was hit among the global pandemic also with two devastating earthquakes, which happens in Zagreb, its capital, and at the end of the year in Petrinja and surrounding towns. There are really, really devastating ones. You can see on these pictures that there are many, many buildings are down. Unfortunately, there was also human lives who were taken as well. Many of animals was also endangered and dead, and it was really, really disaster year for us in Croatia. So as you can see also here is a journalist who is reporting on these disasters. And this was the main motivation for this paper and for the research. And also here within the Petrinja, during the press conference, which was held in mayor office, this earthquake occurred, and one of the colleagues, one of journalists, were so calmly and professionally, and he continued to taping everything around him for a whole minutes, which was the duration of this earthquake. After that, he turned the camera off and he jumped to help the crying people all around. So this is the quote from his interview, who was made afterwards. So in this time and in this onset sudden crisis, it is of extremely importance to convey the information to the audience, to the media audience. And journalists and media has this responsibility to communicate accurate, correct, truthful information, and also neutral one. Why do I say neutral one? Because the way and the manner on which the information is communicated could have a tremendously big it could affect on the poor public in a way that they can cause fatalism, they can cause public panic, or vice versa. If the mediating of this information was doing on an ethical and proper way, it could influence on the proper understanding and acting of the public. So the many researchers and unfortunately also the many real disaster examples that was studied showed that in the time of national crisis like such, the main medium is TV. So the majority of public, no matter what their previously preferences of the media were, they turn to the TV media. So that also puts a responsibility of the broadcasters for this as a communication channel, which can also send reassuring messages to the public. And also, this is the why the TV journalists strive to hide their non-verbal cues. When we are talking about overall communication, it consists of the non-verbal and verbal communication. And nonverbal communication consists of two main segments. There are paralinguistics and there are extralinguistics, which are here listed. So paralinguistic cues are related to voice, to the voice communication and all features that you can see on the slide. And extralinguistics is related to the movement of the communicator. Kinetics and proxemics means the position within the personal space of the people who are dealing or participating within the communication. So in this framework, which also, as Mr. Simsar said, many in detail explained and listed within the paper, which are going to be published, we conducted a small explorative study because we wanted to identify nonverbal cues of Croatian journalists who are dealing with all the breaking news during these two measurement points. The initial breaking news of breakthrough of the COVID-19 in Croatia, and of course, within this first earthquake in which hits capital city Zagreb. So because this paper, student paper, was done in summer of 2020, the second earthquake is not within these findings. So we also, as a little previous pilot study, we did a content analysis of the all curricula of the formal journalist education in Croatia, and we find out that there is no syllabi that are dealing with the development of the communication skill competences for the journalists regarding the reporting in disaster journalism. So within this framework, the main research questions are defined. We wanted to find which are the most common extralinguistic cues that we can find with those reportings. Then we wanted to know what the metric features of pose were as paralinguistic, mainly paralinguistic feature. And of course, we wanted to try to assess communication competences level of the journalists which were in our sample regarding the characteristics of disaster journalism. Well, for that purposes, a quantitative methodology approach was used, and the method was non-critical conversation analysis. We have conducted this analysis using the free available software ELAN or ELAN. And by the non-critical conversation analysis, is it important to say that the analysis was made of the original material regardless of the context of the cultural political framework, as it was for instance very, very important in a discourse analysis, which also often occur in media analysis of the contents. So in order to have some kind of comparison between reporting in crisis times and in so-called everyday life reporting, we made also the sample of the reporting of the journalists who are reporting to do so. ELAN, I did mention the software, so it's a linguistic annotator software, which is produced by Max Planck Institute. So you can see here for illustrative purposes the interface, and several of functionalities are listed here. And this is very good user-friendly software, which can be adopted depending on the user's need. For the sampling, we have several sample groups. So the journalist sample was made from 2 broadcasters of each from 3 Croatian national TV broadcasters. These are the biggest one in Croatia. You can see this here. This is a Croatian radio television, Hrvatska radio televizija, which is public national broadcaster, TV broadcaster. Then there are Nova TV and RTL as private ones. For the video clips sampling, we used deliberate sample. So it was a sample of convenience of 12 video clips in total of duration of 30 seconds each. And the topic was, of course, there was initial breaking news of SARS-CoV-2 virus and of the Zagreb earthquake, as I stated before. So I will not go into deep explanation of the analysis. There are lots of them, and there are lots of materials who are produced. But here you can see the example of the crisis coverage sample, which was analyzed by using ELAN and doing this non-critical analysis. So you can see also how this software works. I also wanted to tell you one maybe interesting things. Here you can see here the gentleman here on the lower right sample. This is a very well known and famous Croatian journalist. His name is Andrija Jarak, and he started reporting 30 and something years ago. He was very well known from the reporting from the Homeland War, and afterwards, every major crisis, he was there. He was, if I may say, specialist for those crises, like disasters or political ones or whatever. So in Croatia, we have a curse which say something like I wish the God gives you the opportunity or gives the opportunity to Andrea to start reporting from your from your yards. So, I mean, I wish you everything bad. So that also you can go with your problems on media. Okay, this is the non-crisis coverage when you can see the analysis of the reporting from the everyday topics. I don't know. The left is the successful operation of Siam twins, which was done in Croatian hospital. Some from the culture or the ordinary EU news. So really not the one who was caused any kind of distress within the journalists. About the main findings, we find that speech fluency was within the normal parameters. So the main average is 4.41 syllables per second. And here you can see the comparison between if we can say distress reporting and leisure or everyday reporting. You can also spot that within the everyday reporting we have the situation that syllables number per second is bigger than the ones within the crisis reportation. Those findings could be explained within the situation that everyday reportings are prepared in advance. So the journalists can talk fluently and use more words. But within the crisis, when everything is sudden and it depends on their spontaneity, they maybe have a little lower number of syllables, but still within the normal rate. So here, regarding the paralinguistic use, which was the using of the pause, you can also see the comparison within the metrics values between the pause and speak or speech written, which is used within those samples that were analyzed. So here we can spot, dependent on personal, I would say, some kind of physical features, that numbers are differed. So if it the lowest one we did explain, but the biggest one here or here, this is the lady who is really experienced. She used it for defining the words. This pose we called filler because they were filled with the noises like you know, when the people do in a normal discussion or communication, just trying to find another words or thinking of something else or whatever. So conclusive results were that the most frequent nonverbal elements were hand movements when we are talking about extra linguistics features, breathing pose. Also, beside finding those find word, they were using pose to take a breath away, you know, just to release some kind of distress from themselves. But it wasn't, we can spot it on their physical appearance, which was very good because that shows that they are somehow trained to take a calm posture and not do so many facial expressions. But the most common extra linguistics, that means movement, was eyebrow movements, which they cannot obviously control. So within crisis situations and reporting ones. For the conclusion, I may say that such a little difference, or if I may say no difference between the findings related to the crisis and non-crisis reporting, shows that they are not focused and they are not controlling the non-verbal cues within not stress situations. So the communication skills could be and should be improved and developed more closely towards these tasks. So also it is recommended that the formal as well with the informal education of journalists in Croatia should be approved and upgraded with the new curricula, with new syllabus, which would deal with the development of the communication competences as well as the strengthening of the journalist code of ethics. Because the global literature says the neutrality, which is the must for the journalism, it is not the vocational standard, it is the ethics standards because of the precautions and everything that could happen if the journalist is not neutral and has not his communication, nonverbal communication under the control. Thank you very much for your listening. And if there is a question, I will be really glad to answer it afterwards.